Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 15 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with the CEO of Main Squeeze Juice Company, Thomas Nieto. And Main Squeeze Juice Company, based out of New Orleans, Louisiana, has been franchising its fast casual juice and smoothie bar concept since 2017. Main Squeeze's mission is to make healthier easier, and the company's nutritionist-designed, superfood-centric menu does exactly that by offering a daily source of plant-based nutrition packed with a natural and quick energy. I want to talk to Tom about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews, so stick around because we have a great show.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 15 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with the CEO of Main Squeeze Juice Company, Thomas Nieto, and Main Squeeze Juice Company is based out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and has been franchising its fast casual juice and smoothie bar concept since 2017. Hi, Thomas. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This is my pleasure, Tom. It's great to have you on the show. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from today, Tom?
I'm calling from New Orleans, Louisiana, at our headquarters office here on Chapatoulas Street.
Beautiful.
So this is where the actual headquarters office is based out of, in the heart of Uptown New Orleans.
That's terrific. Maybe, Tom, you were there at the beginning, weren't you? And it's a great story because I know the story because I researched it. But maybe you could talk a little bit about the history of Main Squeeze Juice Company and, how the whole thing came about.
Sure. Well, the truth is I quite frankly kind of stumbled into it.
Mm-hmm.
And my background was I was with AT&T for 10 years, and then I did a franchise concept with a buddy of mine called In-N-Out Smart Repair, the cell phone repair technology. We ended up becoming the fastest growing player in that space and opened 78 locations in about 3 years, and then sold to the largest player in the space now, CPR, cell phone repair. And then from there, I was looking kind of for my next venture, my next deal. I was checking out a cell phone repair concept out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and literally kind of stumbled into this mom and pop juice bar, Main Squeeze, that was just about to open. And so I got introduced to the owners of that store and was just blown away from the design to the products to everything. And, you know, being from somebody that's from South Louisiana here and the good old, you know, Cajun Creole cuisine that we have in New Orleans, I have been the most responsible person with what I put in my body, and I just couldn't believe that I was drinking cold pressed juice and beet juice and vegetable juice, and I was loving it. And you know, I just never had tried anything that was so healthy that tasted so good. And then, of course, after trying everything, you know, I just felt like $1 million, and I was like a former caffeine addict. You never saw me without a cup of coffee in my hand. And I just couldn't believe how much energy I had. Like, after trying all, I was like, man, what's going on here? Like, I feel like $1 million. And they're like, man, you've got 2 to 4 pounds of produce and every single bottle of juice. And so, it's getting infused straight into your bloodstream. I was like, wow, man, I would come here every single day. And my light bulb moment happened, and decided to create the franchise entity. That was May 2017 is when I had that initial visit. Pop Store is actually, I visited them the Thursday before they opened on that upcoming Monday. And so I knew on Thursday that this is what I wanted to do intuitively. But I said, well, let me just see what they do for the first 30 days just to kind of confirm what my gut's telling me. And certainly they blew it out of the water and, you know, sold out of everything, continued to sell out everything by like 2, 3 o'clock every day, and had fantastic, unbelievable sales, and it was confirmation for me. And then I kind of brought my brother-in-law, who was also our attorney, in and out, brought him into the mix, and then we founded basically the franchise entity. That was June of 17. So shortly thereafter, got to work on creating the operating manual, the development manual, our FDD, the systems and processes that can be streamlined and replicated very easily, and training curriculum. And then we started franchising September of 17, and hey, the rest is history, right? We opened our first franchise location September of 2018, and then now we have 20. We're actually opening our 25th location this coming weekend, Lake Conroe, Houston, and you know, we've got another 50 plus that are in various stages of development.
That's incredible. It's a great story, Tom, and it's why, you know, we started this show, you know, 15 years ago. You know, and interesting, you know, something exciting has happened, because I know about, you know, this partnership you have with Thomas Morstead. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I think that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's been an incredible partnership, and I'll actually back up just a second, even before Thomas, because Thomas actually came into the picture because of Marcus Colston. Marcus Colston. Which is a whole very interesting, funny story, actually. We just got started. I mean, so like I told you, we started franchising September of 17, and it was just me, Michael, and a guy, Jesse Williams, who is our sales executive, and he's also worked for me for a long time with AT&T and did in and out with me, and then, you know, jumped ship, and you just can't get rid of him. He follows me around, you know.
That's great. And
so it was just us three, and so I have him kind of working, you know, sales prospects, trying to get some leads, and he was like, man, can we pay, like, you know, this $500 package on LinkedIn so I can do direct messages to people? I'm going to try to hit up athletes and, you know, high profile individuals. I'm like, dude, no, that's a waste of money. Of course, in the beginning, you don't have any money, you know. So I'm like, no, we're not spending money doing that. He was like, well, I think I should do it anyway. And he ends up paying for it himself, and then sends out a bunch of personalized messages to different people, one of which was Marcus Colston. And it just so happens that the very moment that he sends this kind of shot in the dark to Marcus Colston, that Marcus at the same time was just having a conversation with his wife, Emily, in New Jersey. And basically they were just talking about, I wish we had like a really healthy smoothie and juice option up here. It'd be so awesome. Like, we don't have that up here. And then he gets that LinkedIn message from Jesse.
That's amazing.
And so just kind of stars aligned, very odd. We ended up setting up a call. We ended up meeting him. He ended up coming down and checking out of the Lake Charles store, and kind of, got to know each other very well. We kind of dated before we got married, per se.
Right.
And before we had an official partnership, we kind of had a more unofficial kind of partnership in the beginning. And bottom line is, once we really knew that this was the right fit for both of us, which is very important, that we have that we're the right fit for his personal brand, and that he was the right fit for our brand. We had we let him buy in at 10% to the franchise company. We were doing a capital raise, and so he kind of came on board. What was that, November of 18, officially, and then from there, Thomas and Marcus, obviously both Super Bowl champs with the Saints, knew each other very well. Thomas really respects Marcus for the work that he's done and success that he's had really off the field and in the world of entrepreneurship. And then, we opened a location that was literally 2 blocks away, pretty much a few blocks away from where Thomas Morstead and his family lived. And he just found himself opening his fridge every morning, and it's fully stocked with Main Squeeze. And it just became a part of his family's lifestyle. And he loved the brand, and kind of ran into me when I was doing a store visit one day, and we just got to talking, and then went to lunch with him and his wife. And just, by the way, Thomas Morstead may be the best human being that I've ever met. He's such an amazing person. And so it's kind of we at the time we didn't necessarily have an opportunity to do anything official, but kind of similar to Marcus, we just kind of courted each other, got to know each other, and kept the relationship strong. And then there was an opportunity to let him buy in a few points, 3 percentage points of the company. And so he jumped all over it, and we made it happen. And I got to tell you, it's been an incredible partnership having both of those guys. I had a call with them just 2 days ago, and they're actively involved with the brand, and they're super passionate about what we're doing. And it's great.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's interesting. In the 15 years that I've been doing the show too, Tom, I've had a couple of football players on the show. I don't know if you're a Saints fan, but I'm sure that would probably help, right?
Hardcore season ticket holder, absolutely. Yes.
That's terrific. The product line is fascinating. Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the products that you have at Main Squeeze Juice Company. I'm on the website right now, actually. It's very impressive.
Yeah, man. Look, it's all about honest, holistic, 100% plant-based menu options is what we serve to our customers. So kind of we sell a few things, quite a few things on our menu, but not too many things, because that's always a problem too if you have too many options. But our core is really our cold pressed juice, our superfood smoothies, and our acai bowls. So our cold pressed juice, we literally fresh press our juice every day in house with a $30,000 juicer that is a vertical press that basically gets all the nutrients out of the fruits and vegetables without any heating throughout the process, which means that you're getting 100% of all the nutritional value of those fruits and vegetables in the juice. And so we do that across the board. We're committed to making that fresh in every store. And we worked with some of the best chefs in the world out of Las Vegas, actually, to really hone in on the taste. And that was that's a big deal in this space.
Yes.
Is a lot of you have some juice bars out there and some health concepts out there, and they're catering to people that, what I say and how I characterize it as, they already get it, right? They already have the palate for for healthy eatery, and they're already on the health and wellness bandwagon, which is fantastic. But what about all the people the people that I live with here in South Louisiana, right? Who we need a bridge to get there. And so we really wanted to make a product that not only was holistic and true and honest and, full of nutritional value, but it also tasted amazing. And so we balanced those recipes out with some great chefs and And we have our own software system that we built and created from the ground floor. And at every single location, they have what's called a Juice Hub portal that we built that basically scales all the recipes to the T based off of, what your sell rate is and making sure you have enough juice on the shelf but not too much.
Right.
And it scales up and down that recipe based off the batch sizes that you need, which is really cool. So and again, another cool, unique thing that we do that nobody else does, because everybody else is using Excel spreadsheets for the recipes, and then there's a lot of variance from batch to batch, and so our variance is to a very minimum, as minimal as it can possibly be, I would say. Our smoothies are kind of unlike any other smoothies that are out there. No ice, no fillers, no additives. It's just straight up whole vegetables, whole fruits. We use plant bases for the liquids. So coconut water that we get from young coconuts out of Thailand, orange juice, almond milk, rice milk. So everything's 100% plant-based. The only thing we're adding to the smoothies is literally organic superfood enhancers, and it's incredible. It's like a thick, dense superfood smoothie. It's like a sorbet almost consistency, because what we do is we take fresh bananas, we stage them to a certain ripening stage, then we freeze them at a certain temperature for 24 to 48 hours, and then that's basically the base that we use for the smoothie and substitute the ice, and that's what gives it that creamy, thick consistency. So they're incredible. We've won all sorts of awards for them. Our acai bowl is really cool. It's wild harvested acai from the Amazon rainforest. So we literally partner with indigenous tribes in the Amazon rainforest who literally the tribes climb the trees, they pick the berries, and then they drive them, they boat them rather over to our partner company Nativa down there, who cleans and processes everything for us, and then basically flash freezes that organic wild harvested acai and ships them straight to our distributor, which ships them straight to the doors. It's incredible. It's like the true Brazilian style acai bowl. People come from all over to get them. They really are.
That's incredible, Tom. I was going to say, look what
we do lattes, we do toast, we have some other stuff too.
It's great. I mean, when you told your story in the beginning, it's just like you're a normal person in the sense that, I was a lot like you, and I still am, in the sense of drinking coffee all the time, but you said that, you tried this product and the benefit, now you have all of this energy, you know what I mean? And that's, that's what I think a lot of people want, right? And you want it to taste good, which it sounds like it tastes great. I was looking at some of them, I was looking at the Blue Tart smoothie, and I was looking at some of the ingredients, there's algae in there, isn't there? And I say, how do you even get that? It's incredible. Do you have a favorite, Tom? It's your baby, so it's hard to say, okay, do you have a favorite?
Ask me that all the time.
Yeah,
I know. People ask me that all the time. Dude, and I'm just going to give you the honest answer. The honest answer is my favorites really have changed, and they continue to change. And I guess that actually speaks to, I'll tell you this, another interesting fact, and I really don't know what it is across other brands, but I just think it's interesting that every one of our smoothies has taken turns at different periods of time across different stores as being the number one smoothie. So I think that's pretty interesting. Usually it's always like, okay, well, these are always going to be your top sellers. Right. But, really, honestly, all of our smoothies are fantastic. My favorite, if I had to say, hey, what's my favorite, I have to say what's my favorite right now, which is going to be our green protein elevated. And so that's been my go-to, and I add some extra protein in there too. I'm trying to, get back in the gym, and so it's a good supplement for me after I get a workout in.
Do you have seasonal too? I noticed you had a pumpkin on there too, right? It's you see a lot of pumpkin, of course, this time of year, but is that a seasonal type of thing, or is that all year round?
Yeah, it is. We do seasonal products just to kind of keep things fresh and exciting and interesting and in season. So you've got the pumpkin spice lineup. We have a toast. We have the smoothie. We have our lattes, both frozen and fueled hot. And then, Mardi Gras, we have the king cake smoothie. During the summer, we come out with something. And then we have our watermelon line that we do for our juices. during watermelon season. So yeah, we try to capitalize on when different fruits that aren't typically available year round come in season. We definitely try to capitalize on that.
The plant-based thing is not going away either, Tom. I saw recently, McDonald's just announced like they're testing, I guess it's like a plant-based burger, but it is amazing because McDonald's has been around a very long time, they're just finally, after all of this time getting into it, you've been doing it quite some time now, but it seems like the plant-based thing is just, it's going to get bigger, isn't it?
It is, man, and I try to tell people, I'm a very simple-minded person, honestly, when it comes down to it, and just think about it, man, like, from 1990 to 2000, did people become more conscious or less conscious of what they're putting in their body? They became more conscious, right? You had internet, you had more access to resources and education, information, documentaries started coming in. From 2000 to 2010, in 2010, did people become more conscious or less conscious than 2000? They became more conscious. Right. From 2010 to 2020, people, especially with the pandemic, did they become more conscious or less conscious?
Certainly more. Right.
So at the end of the day, we're selling, it's like what you said, it's plant-based, it's fruits and vegetables is really what we sell. And fruits and vegetables, I can tell you, they're not going anywhere. The demand for all natural, healthy, clean eatery only continues to rise. You see that reflected in kind of the big chains like KFC and McDonald's and Burger King and all these guys. Everybody's kind of getting the message, and they're trying to do their version of catering to that audience and that customer base. But it's not going away. It's only going to continue to climb. And think about it now. You have the parents, that are now raising their kids that are growing up on organic foods. Right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up on organic food. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom was a doctor. She was a family practice doctor. My dad worked full time, and we had 5 kids in the house. And it was like, what's quickest and fastest and easiest?
Macaroni and cheese.
So the generation that's coming up is just it's different. So now you have kind of that whole wave of new generations that are coming up that are going to make this even more important in terms of focusing on plant-based diets and, again, all natural, healthy, clean eatery.
Yeah. I guess it's safe to say it's a big industry and it's a growing industry, isn't it, Tom?
It is, and there's a great demand for it. But actually, the interesting thing, and it's why, quite frankly, even my competitors, they're doing very well. Everybody who's doing what we're doing and doing it decently well, I will say, they're doing great, all right? Yeah. Everybody's growing because while the demand continues to climb, think about the supply that's out there today. The supply is very, very low, relatively speaking, to the demand. And that's why everybody who's doing what we're doing is kind of killing it right now. And it's for us, we see a very, very long future ahead of us that's bright and exciting and very, no pun intended, fruitful for us.
Sure. Yeah. No, and I think that's terrific. Do you get the question, Tom? I mean, like, what distinguishes Main Squeeze Juice Company from, other competitors that are out there?
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, who I consider direct competitors would not, or let me just tell you who I do not consider direct competitors is, people ask me all the time, but like Smoothie King, Tropical Smoothie, Planet Nutrition, Planet Smoothie. Those guys really, yes, they have the word smoothie in their menu lineup, but I can tell you that they're going after a totally different customer that we go after. So my competitors would be like Clean Juice, Nectar, Pressed, companies like that that are really focused on holistic foods and superfood smoothies and cold pressed juice in their lineup for their menu lineup. Because you got to remember, like, if you're not, cold pressed juice makes up 40 to 50% of our total sales.
Okay. Wow.
So, I mean, it's not like a small piece to what we do.
Right.
That is a big differentiator, actually, while I'm saying that, even to our regular competitors who Nectar, Clean Juice, their sales of juice make up, 20 to 30%, to where ours make up about 40 to 50%. And I'm just going to attribute that to the fact that we're fresh pressing it in-house.
Right.
Nectar doesn't do that for cold pressed juice. They actually do something called HPPing, and it's high pressure pasteurization, and they kind of do it in large batches and then I guess wholesale it back to their franchisees to resell to customers. But the problem, obviously, when you HPP is you're killing some of the nutrients. And our customers know the difference. They're looking for fresh. They're looking for something that they can't get anywhere else. If you want to get cold pressed juice in the grocery store, you can do that.
Sure.
But look at it. It's pasteurized. It's HPP. It's
right.
either heated or it's high pressure pasteurized. And the commitment to fresh is really a big differentiator for us. And, of course, just the taste of the product is just bar none. So there's no comparison to how our products taste relative to the competitors that we have out there. And then, I think the other thing that makes us very competitive is the fact that we have incredible branding, our packaging, our design, our actual store layouts, our storefronts. I don't know if you're looking at any of the in-store pictures, but it's really the best in the industry. Nobody really stacks up to our branding and our packaging and our store design. And maybe the final point that I would just say is the fact that we did invest heavily before I had any franchises. I hired 4 full-time software developers, understanding the power of data and how important a powerful business management tool is to the front line. My vision was I wanted to be able to take all of the streamline it to as much as possible, leveraging software to be able to take as much burden off of the franchisees from administration and inventory and feedback and workforce management and timekeeping. And I wanted them to be able to spend and reallocate all of that saved time into the customer experience and creating an awesome culture with their team and spending time building strong relationships with the customers that we have and in the communities that we're serving. So I think that's pretty competitive. That's an advantage that we have that nobody else has. That, we built our own point of sale that's customized, proprietary just for Main Squeeze. We have a proprietary customer feedback tool. We have an SMS marketing campaign tool that's built in to where we can custom text our customers based off of their purchasing behaviors and patterns, based off what they're purchasing the most and they like the most. And so we can target promotions just for them. And we have, so I think that is a game changer, just maybe on the from a franchise on the franchisee side of it. Not necessarily to the customer side, but that's those are kind of the main things that I'd say make us stand apart.
It sounds like you took your experience that from AT&T and In-N-Out and you applied it to Main Squeeze, didn't you, Tom?
Definitely. It's where AT&T is such a blessing to be able to work for that organization for almost 10 years. And so certainly learned all my, skills, regarding workforce management, multi-unit management, and, retail and customer experience and marketing and all that stuff. So certainly took all of my learned experience there and put that into this. I've got to tell you, I might have even learned more, maybe applicable to relative to what I'm doing with my experience that I had in the former venture with In-N-Out Smart Repair, because that was my first franchising experience. I came in and helped my buddy start and scale this franchise. We took it from a few locations and opened to 78, and in a relatively short period of time. And I was with that company, I was a 10% owner. I was the COO of the company. Was my position there. And I got to tell you, being able to go through that, it's taught me so much, and I learned so much. Most honestly, if I'm being real, which I'm going to be with you today and always, is most of what not to do. I learned most of what not to do through that experience. For some reason, those lessons tend to stick with you even more. Definitely an accumulated, experience from both AT&T and In-N-Out that played into where we are today.
It's a benefit of franchising, isn't it, Tom? For people to invest in a franchise opportunities is to also not make the same mistakes, right? That maybe you made in the past, with your past experience, and I think that's certainly a value. maybe we could talk a little bit about franchising, because I know that you are selective, Tom, when it comes to taking on new franchisees. So what types of characteristics or traits do you look for then in your franchisees? What's important to you?
So, and that's a great question, and it is one of those things of one of those lessons of learning what not to do. And one day if I ever write a book, one of my chapters will be the art of not doing the deal,
right.
and the art of not accepting a check, and learning to say no, and when you need to say no, and why, and what the triggers are to say no. And because just because somebody has the money and the capital to do a deal with you, that should just be the very, that's kind of ladder to what's most important. Of course, you have to have that. You have to have the capital requirements, but that should not ever be the deciding factor.
Right.
The number one thing that I'm looking for is passion for who we are and what we do. There has to be an alignment with the core values for the brand and like what we believe, what our philosophy is about people, about team, about customer experience means to them and what it means to us. There has to be a philosophical fit there. And look, that's not to say, I'm not saying that I want everybody to be the exact same. Like, we need diversity. We embrace diversity, across all walks, and not only just diversity in like how we look, but the diversity in how people think. Like, diversity is a very, very good thing. Yes. But there must be an alignment with core values, the philosophy of the brand. And I'll give you an example. Because just because somebody's not the right fit for us doesn't mean that they're a bad entrepreneur, that they wouldn't be successful and not going to be successful. That's really not what it doesn't mean that they're bad and they're not good enough. It just means it's not the right fit for them and for us, for either one of us. Because if, for example, if you're, when I have people that are, come in and they're going through our process and all they're asking about is just the ROI, the numbers. Those are important, by the way. You have to be able to talk to those. We have our item 19, and we have to speak to all those things. But when all you're showing me that you care about is just the numbers, and you're not asking any other questions and talking about the value of creating culture with your team and what the customer experience means to you and the passion to be able to spread kind of our mission, which is making healthy easier to your community, then I know that it's not going to be the right fit, because I don't want to partner with people that all they care about is money. I need everybody to care about money, but I don't want it to be all that you care about. And that's not, look, there's so many franchises out there that are profitable, that are great investments. And so that person can find a good fit in a concept that, is going to have good cost of goods, good labor, it's good concept. There's a fit there for that candidate. But for us, we kind of do something that's pretty cool. We have a larger picture in mind when it comes to making profits. We want to make profits, but we want to be able to help people at the same time. And that's what we do. It's kind of cool to have a franchise concept that, you can create wealth for you and your family, but you can do that while impacting people's lives and empowering people to look better, to feel better, to be the best versions of themselves. And that's the kind of passion and alignment that I'm looking for, somebody that really gets that. Really at the core, like that's part of who they are and why they're passionate about being a part of Main Squeeze. Because if you're not passionate about the mission, this is in my opinion, if you're not passionate about it, when the going gets tough, you're just going to quit. You're just going to give up, because it doesn't mean anything to you outside of numbers. So there's got to be something deeper connected with that core value, with the mission of the brand, the purpose of the brand. And then, of course, you certainly have to be well capitalized. You have to have more, even like where we know what our average investments actually are, but I make sure that whenever we're doing a deal with somebody that they have more than enough capital, because that is the number one reason that fundamentally, franchises fail and small businesses fail as they're undercapitalized. Right. So, you got to have enough gas to put in the machine.
That's right.
To be able to get to where you want to be, get to where you want to go. But it's more focused on alignment to the brand, passion and purpose. I'm looking for a proven track record, by the way. I think early on, all franchises, you kind of do like deals with, you might roll some dice with greener people.
Right.
But for me, I want a proven track record. You got to be able to show me as a leader that there's a track record of success that has followed you. So whether, no matter what you were doing before in your past, do we have a track record of success? That's a big component, because if you're winners are winners, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are going to fight to win, and they're not going to quit. They're not going to give up, and success is the only option, and failure isn't even something that we talk about. That's who we're looking for. So that track record of success kind of helps speak to that testimony of who is this person? And it doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything other than the odds are more favorable when you have the evidence of historical success.
That's great. It's very powerful. And I could steal a quote from you. I saw in an article with you. You said something like, it's not what you do, but why you do it, right? And that's exactly how you got involved in the whole process too, isn't it? Is, why you do it.
Dude, it won me over. This brand, like I told you what happened, I stumbled into the concept. I'm not the healthiest person on the face of the planet. Never have been. My mom could never get me to eat vegetables when I was a kid. All the way up until this point, honestly, I just never ate vegetables. It won me over. And I'm like, man,
that's wonderful.
If you can win me over, you can win the world.
You can work on anybody. You can win anybody. That's great. It's a great story, Tom. Talk a little bit about the training. How does the training work, Tom? Once you decide that someone is a fit, I mean, would they come down to corporate headquarters for that? How does that work?
Yeah. So what we do is basically after we go through all the due diligence processes of our sales process, and we end up getting to the point where we sign the franchise agreement. The first thing that happens is there's a kickoff call with my development director, who basically kind of sends them an email with access to all of our resources and our drives and our documents, all the resources that they need, our training curriculum, and then also kind of explains the development process with them. We do require that everybody reads and annotates. We'll actually make notes and analyze the development manual that we have, and then they come back and kind of I make sure that they've retained all that information, that they understand the process, and then we just start kind of hand-holding them through the process and walking through that process with them. On the training side of it, when we get to that part of the process, which is, of course, after real estate, which is the longest, generally speaking, real estate, design, construction. In the middle of construction, they would come to, typically we try to slate it, while they're between 45 and 30 days to completion on their construction project. They come into Main Squeeze University training. It's a 2-week training, 1 week in the classroom setting, and then another week is actually in the store. And they're working pretty intense. I mean, it's basically 7 days straight. We give 1 day break, and then there's another 6 days straight. And they're just learning all things Main Squeeze. They're learning the brand, the philosophy, how to use our system, how to hone in on the operation side of it, scheduling, admin, coaching, hiring, firing, the whole bit. And then in the stores where they get to learn, juicing, making the products, delivering on the extraordinary experience of the customers, juice education, product education, the whole bit, and getting to practice that and put it all together. And then that's kind of the university side of it. And then that's typically with the franchisee and their general manager. And then when we get close to after construction is complete, as long as we have our minimum requirements met for staff training, we actually deploy a team out to the location, which is what we did actually this past weekend at the Lake Conroe location that's opening this weekend. And my team goes out there. They do store setup for a few days, which is they set the store up exactly the same, just like we have it at every other location, and kind of gets everything ready to go for the training team. Then the training team comes in starting Thursday night, and then Friday night, and then all day Saturday and Sunday, and we have a big friends and family event to celebrate Sunday night. But my team goes out there, and they actually conduct the training with the team members for the franchisee, I should say with the franchisee. And then we silently open the location, meaning like we just turn the open sign on. We don't tell anybody and advertise it to anybody that we are open, so that at a very slow pace, my team who stays behind, reinforces all the training that they learned through the weekend. And at a very slow environment, they get to practice, we get to coach them, and kind of ready up for the big weekend, which is always typically that next following weekend, which is going to be this weekend for Lake Conroe, like I said. And that opening event starts Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And then my team exits out. We help them through the opening weekend. And then after that, so we do the store setup, staff training, the development week where they're reinforcing the training. We help them get to the opening, and then we exit out after the plane's lifted off the ground and they've successfully opened their location.
That's terrific. You gave a lot of great advice during this interview, Tom. And, the way you discovered Main Squeeze, I don't want to say it certainly wasn't an accident, because there's no such thing as accidents, but, you kind of stumbled upon it. For our listeners, what advice would you give to them in their quest to buy a franchise? Because you've been involved in franchising for a long time now, and there's so much out there to choose from, it becomes a little bit overwhelming. You mentioned things like passion and things like that, which are all very important. But what advice would you give to them in the beginning phases of someone who just says, I'm very interested in getting into a franchise? Where do they begin, or how do they begin?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that it starts with, hey, what are you passionate about? Like, what's something that gets you excited that you really want to be a part of beyond just the monetary investment? I think that is first and foremost. Don't just go and shop for numbers, and like you find something that you would that you really can see yourself loving to be a part of and getting behind in terms of what the brand stands for and the mission behind the brand. Then after that, I would say, look, you really want to make sure, ask questions about process. That's the biggest thing. Why do people franchise? I know we've been talking about like athletes. I got Thomas Morstead and Colson. They're involved at the franchisor level, but there's a reason that like athletes in franchising is a recent trend, and more and more athletes are turning to outside revenue sources and looking for a way to carry their legacy beyond playing times. And many are finding franchising to be a great option for the same reason of why most people will look at franchises, because they're looking for a system playbook that's already baked out and created. Athletes are great when you have playbooks and you can tell them exactly how to do what they need to do, the way that it needs to be done. You have that playbook. And that's the concept of franchising, is having that really good foundation of systems and processes. And we've kind of figured out all the things not to do and what you need to do to be able to maximize your odds of success. That's the known theory, and what I think every franchisor would tell you when you're talking to them or vetting them. But I would dig deeper is my advice.
Yeah.
I would dig deeper. I would not just listen to what they're saying at surface level. I would want to ask lots of questions, detailed questions about their process. Like, oh, we're going to help you find real estate. And, okay, well, how are you going to help me find real estate? What are you doing specifically with real estate? Because I can tell you I've invested over $100,000 and $40,000 a year for life to be able to have big data and reverse geocode all of our customer rewards, loyalty data, to be able to know exactly who my customers are, where they are. I go and score the site. It's going to tell me exactly what the site's going to do in revenue. I know where I need to be. I know where we need to be hunting, so we're not wasting time, so the developers aren't bringing us to places that we just have available territory, which are typically new development areas, but they don't have the density that we need to be successful. And so there's a lot of details that go into every little step of the process for construction and design. Tell me specifically, what is the process? So I would just dig and ask. And if you end up not getting substantial answers, the reason that you're not getting really good answers is because there isn't a good answer.
There isn't. Right. That's powerful. I think that's great advice, Tom. So I could ask you the last question, Tom. As the CEO of the organization, where do you see Main Squeeze Juice Company? If you could look into a crystal ball, maybe 3 years, 5 years down the road, where do you see the organization, Tom?
Wouldn't that be nice to be able to do, huh?
Yes, it would.
3 years to 5 years. Look, I really see this brand as one that is going into the stratosphere. So, for us, we're going to have almost 30 locations open before the end of this year. We've got a really large pipeline. I'm believing within the next 5 years to be able to open another 250 to 300 locations. So that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to accomplish, really by 2026.
Right.
So again, but the truth is, I'm telling you that, I'm saying that, but the reality is none of us have that crystal ball that you referenced, and it would be so awesome if we did. And anything that I'm really saying in terms of the future is more so me visualizing the success in the future and projecting that success, and that's what I see and believe. But the reality is, for me, I'm just focused on today. What are we doing today? Are we winning today? And making sure that we're winning day by day, using the athlete sports analogy. You got to win every game. You can't think about the Super Bowl. You got to win today. You got to win the game that's in front of you, and it's quarter by quarter, half by half. It's play by play, and it's inch by inch, and that's kind of how we think and operate here.
That's terrific. What's the best way, Tom, for our listeners to get more information on Main Squeeze Juice Company's? We can talk about the product line, or, of course, especially the franchise opportunity itself. Are there any websites that they can go to, or you can direct them for more information?
Yeah. They can go to it's mainsqueezefranchise.com.
Okay.
You could also just go to our regular mainsqueezejuiceco.com, and then they have a franchise link there to inquire about franchising. So that's where they can learn more about the franchising opportunity with Main Squeeze. They could submit their inquiry very quickly in just a few seconds there. And Jesse Williams on my sales team is who would be responding to them promptly after they submit that inquiry. And we just start the conversation. We have a little sales process and a sales track that they would go through, and if everything's right on all sides, we end up doing kind of that discovery day where they come in, meet the team, and kind of let everybody explain. Like kind of we let them in, we open the hood and let them see the internal operational processes that we have and what the expectations are, so that there's no surprises. And we're really kind of at that point, at the very final stage of the discovery day, we're vetting them really more so that they're vetting us at that point. And if we feel like there's a fit on all sides, then we green light, we sign the agreement, and we get to work.
That's terrific. Well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to you today, Tom, and I'd already like to invite you back, in the near future, a year or two down the road, because I think this is a wonderful franchise opportunity.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and I would look forward to that in the future.
Thanks, Tom. Likewise. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. And today's podcast is being sponsored by Diamond Financial Services. And Diamond Financial is the nation's #1 source for business loans with over 50 years of combined experience and established relationships. Financing solutions can be applied to business acquisitions, franchise purchasing or startups, building and leasehold improvements or expansions, equipment purchases, debt restructuring, working capital, franchise fees, or simply the buying out of partners. And if you want more information on Diamond Financial Services, you can click their logo right on our show page of this podcast. Today's great quote in franchising is by Dr. Robert Needham of Franchise Inc. And Dr. Robert Needham is also a franchise author. And we had him on our show, it was about a month ago. And typically on the show we'll ask, what advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur looking to buy a franchise? And I thought his answer was brilliant, so here we go.
Another question we'd like to ask someone like yourself, Dr. Needham, is what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise?
Well, first of all, it's interesting. I believe they have to first find out who they are, meaning are they prepared to work with employees? If not, then they don't need to be buying a business that's going to have a lot of employees. They need to be in a business that's maybe just them or maybe one or two others. Right. Once they do that, they really need to decide what it is they want this business to do. We have a lot of people call us and say, my wife's a great cook. I want to run a restaurant. Right. But there's a big gap between being a great cook and being a restaurateur. Right. And so what we do is we try to find out what they really, the old saying, I believe, I don't know who actually gets credit for originally quoting. It's certainly not me, but the old saying that people don't buy drills because they want drills, they buy drills because they want holes.
That's right, yeah.
What we try to do is find out what is it that they really want, and the franchise is just the vehicle to get them to their dream. So often when we're talking with them, we find out that it's freedom or financial independence, which, is really freedom still, and they really want to be able to control their own destiny or some of those kind of things. So then we start looking at the business, and we start explaining the business from that direction, and it's really independent of what the business does, because there is no perfect business, as you know. Right. Every business has something that's not great about it, and every business has something that's super fantastic about it, and we try to help them understand those various things.
That's interesting. We had a couple guests a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Needham, from Fish Window Cleaning. There was two young gentlemen. They worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car for many years, and they were very frustrated. They were working 50, 60 hours a week, I think it was, Don, they were mentioning. Right. And they were surprised at first. They ended up in the window cleaning business. They said in a million years they never imagined buying that kind of franchise, but it just match what they were looking to do. They just wanted flexible hours where they can get home early and spend weekends with their family and things like that.
Right. They did a lot of due diligence and a lot of questions and points of what they wanted in a franchise system, and that met most or maybe all of what they were looking for.
Right, and they're very happy now, So, but yeah, it was just interesting. They never pictured it in a million years.
One of our top female consultants was regional.
I love that quote from Dr. Needham. It's a famous quote. It says, people don't buy drills because they need a drill. People buy a drill because they need a hole. And, the same thing applies to franchising. People don't buy a franchise simply to buy a franchise. People buy a franchise as a means to an end where they want more freedom or they want to spend more time with their family. So, once again, another great quote in franchising. So, again, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. And once again, we'd love to hear your feedback. And we'll see you again soon for another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising by Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.